Vish, Chelsea 2, West Ham United 1 at Stamford Bridge. On the eve, the transfer window slams shut. Chelsea took the 3 points. What did you make of the game? What were your initial thoughts after the final whistle?
I thought it was a strange game. I was quite impressed with what West Ham did. I was not so impressed with what Chelsea did. And then Chelsea scored, and it's hard to argue that they shouldn't have won the game. So for that reason, I found it very, very peculiar. I feel like I had all these notes written about, how ineffective Chelsea were, how, in moments like this, they really do look like a team of individuals. And we can get into some of that, but it feels largely redundant now. They've ended up winning relatively comfortably, but yeah.
I thought you were going to take off there for a minute.
I managed to argue with myself in the space of one syllable.
Yes, and you did it very, very well. I know what you mean. Chelsea finished the game sort of... Well, in fact, did they finish the game convincingly? I mean, West Ham, if Kudus had sorted his feet out, I feel like they did. Then I've remembered that chance. Then I kind of think, actually, West Ham was slightly hard done by. With the first goal. You're right, confusing, strange game. Chelsea will be very, very happy, though, that they won the game, as they should be. It's only their second win in the league since the 15th of December, when they'd gone on a really good run. Everybody remembered. There was some people were suggesting that if you just squint your eyes, they might be in a title race. Then they drew with Everton, and they lost to Fulham at the Bridge on Boxing Day. And then since then, it's been pretty slim pickings. They beat Wolves in the league, so they needed a victory like this. And however you get it done, do get it done. And of course, this strange season that we find ourselves in. Yes, you can drop away from a title race pretty quickly because Liverpool have been so good, but you're still in the mix for top four. That's how it works. It's pretty chock-a-block in there with the teams. I mean, we think of, and rightly so, that Nottingham Forest have had a great season so far. They're third. Bournemouth have been brilliant. Well, Chelsea are actually now 3 points above Bournemouth, which seems mad because, as I say, they've been on a bit of a run, if you see what I mean. They're only 4 points behind Forest, 2 points above Man City. So despite all this, an important victory, but they are fourth on 43 points. West Ham, though, down in 15th now, 10 points from safety. So I don't think there's any worry of that sort of chat. But they'll be a little bit disappointed they didn't get something out of the game because, of course, in that first half, they led 1-0 to a beautifully taken Jarrod Bowen goal, which kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, Chelsea probably had the better of it in that first half, but it wasn't the most inspiring of first halves, I would say. Vish, would you agree?
West Ham were actually, while they didn't necessarily have too much of the ball, and you're right when you say that Jarrod Bowen's goal kind of comes from nowhere, but it does come from it does come as a byproduct of what they were actually trying to do, which was pretty simple, like get your ball players a bit closer together and get them playing with each other. And if, sometimes you see Jarrod Bowen, who was excellent today, considering he's only just coming back from his injury, but sometimes it feels like Jarrod Bowen's on his own when he's kind of trying to wriggle out of corners and often wriggling out of them really well. It didn't seem that way today, did it? He always seemed to have backup, had an ally somewhere, whether it was Kudus, whether it was, Carlos Soler as well, who's having a bit of a rejuvenation under Potter. But yeah, like Chelsea, and this, as it was for the start of the second half as well, Chelsea they're just so individualistic sometimes. And it's not quite selfish, but it is self-centered. It feels like every player has main character energy. And there's that stat that they haven't used a player over 30 this season, which is mad. But when you see them in situations like, say, the first 70-odd minutes today, it kind of tallies. They're like a team of little brothers. They need like someone older and not even wiser, but just longer in the tooth. Just like slap them around the head and be like, "What are you doing?"
Do you think they should just get James Milner in there? Is he still? Is he a gun for hire? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just somebody.
a brother, like a bigger brother scheme.
Hey, I tell you what, he's denying he's open for a move if everybody's seen the clip going around. But Jordan Henderson, get him back in there. He's got a point to prove, hasn't he? Is he off to Monaco? Who knows? Yeah, I know what you mean with Chelsea. I suppose with Chelsea, with the first half of the season, they surprised a few people and did a little bit better than what we might think. And they were in among those teams, as I say, and still are. The league table doesn't lie. Everyone thought, Forest's going to keep this up. When's the drop-off happening? And Bournemouth as well and whatnot. But everyone, I think, thought, Chelsea, huge squad, a lot of talent in there. And the fact is they can play their B or even C team in the Europa Conference League. That bodes well for them so they can rest up. There's going to be no fatigue issues, really, on those long away trips to Kazakhstan and so on. But Chelsea are the ones who actually have had the dip in form, whereas Bournemouth and Forest have not had that the same kind of dip as Chelsea have had. So that would suggest that the early sort of season promise and sort of slight cohesion they were showing under Maresca has not really developed in the way that he would want. And you're right, just to rely on the individuality or the individual brilliance of those players, Cole Palmer in particular, of course, is kind of maybe what they were relying on a bit too much. Whereas, in this game, Palmer, he didn't even need to score. He would just thought, I'll whack it in there and Wan-Bissaka will do the rest. But they did show a bit of character coming back from 1-0 down, because it was a bit of a sucker punch in some regard. I mean, it was a bit of an error from Levi Colwill, of course, who passed the ball back. But interestingly, when West Ham, say, played at home to Fulham, and Fulham made a couple of really bad errors in that game, Potter said, actually, that was our pressing, that we forced them into that error, if you see what I mean, and we're pouncing. You see another one there and you think, maybe he's got a slight, but maybe there is something. I mean, they can't just rely on goals like that, which we should say. But with Bowen finishing like that, which a stunningly good finish.
Yeah, it was. I had to see the replay to realise he did actually hit it with his instep, because he stuns it, doesn't he?
Glorious goal, yeah.
He really pings it. Like the commentator mentioned that it was like he almost got it stuck under his feet, and he did, but he did exactly what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
It was good. It was
top
like
class, that.
It was like it went across felt rather than grass.
yeah.
It was a gorgeous little goal.
It was indeed, yeah. At 1-0 at half time, as I say, Chelsea then come back and score through Pedro Neto. Now, there appeared to be a foul by Colwill in the build-up to Chelsea's equaliser. However, it was too early in the play for VAR to check it.
Ludicrous.
What do you think to that? Because I mean, to me, it's a definite foul, and they obviously win the ball, and the move starts from there. But I think I have some sympathy with how it goes, that it was just so far back that it doesn't, you're talking sort of hindsight here. West Ham have got plenty of opportunities to deal with it, if you see what I mean.
I would agree with you had they not taken so long trying to work out if it took a flick off, the forward's head before it got to Cucurella, who was the one who put it back in play, essentially. They spent so much time... Basically, they spent so much time zooming in on the head and the ball, knowing that the only thing they would be able to discern is whether there was a gap between the head and the ball. And once they realised that, actually, there isn't a gap, but also, we can't really tell if he actually did head the ball. So, okay, we'll just give the goal. If you have the time to do that, just press rewind. Just scroll back.
No, but apparently
30 seconds. People do it all the time when they listen to us. 30 seconds forward, 30 seconds, just 30 seconds back.
Yeah, but
it wasn't even 30 seconds, though, was it?
No, but apparently the official line was it happened too long ago. Like it was not. There was too much stuff happened.
I kind of understand that, but if you're taking
it's still
that
open
long,
to interpretation, though. That
it is, yeah. But but if you're looking for at something for that long. When you're like, we can't really overturn it. Well, here's something you can overturn. It's just over there.
Yeah, but you're acting as if that they were wanting any excuse to disallow the goal, though.
No, but I'm saying if you're going to put the time into trying to deduce something that, by your own measure, it can't be deduced, it can't be changed, then it feels like, and as you say, like the rule about how far before the action was that would have, or the foul was that would have cancelled out the play. It's far enough back that there were enough phases there. There weren't really. Colwell bumps him off the ball. Keeper boots it forward, and it all starts from there. Like, I don't know. I am with you in that I get why it was long enough away, deemed not long enough away. But as soon as they started obsessing about whether it was goal to discern whether Cucurella was offside, I was like, you may as well put this energy into that.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, okay, fine. I do agree with that. And I suppose that they were trying to determine whether it took a sort of meaningful touch. But as you say, if you've looked at it more than 25 seconds, then you clearly you can't tell that it took a meaningful touch. There was one angle where I thought that would be the only one where we could do it. And then they started looking at other angles, and I thought, no, I think you should just let this go. And eventually they did, to be fair. I mean, I tend not to get that wound up by VAR, if I'm honest with you. I kind of, even if I'm in the stadium and they're taking a while, it doesn't really. I think the only time it would do is if it's knockout Euros or World Cup and England are involved. I think that's the only time.
Only if England are involved. That's the only. Yeah, it don't really annoy me when it's Chelsea West Ham on Monday. But
no, exactly. Yeah, I think.
If it's Tommy Tooks' first game in charge, no.
I'll tell you what, that would be. Yeah, if it's the difference between the Nations League. No, I know what you mean. I think, I'm not one for conspiracy theories. However, if it did go against England in a crucial game, watch my feed, everybody.
Tariffs on everyone. Tariffs on all of them.
Oh dear. The less said about that, the better. Yeah, but it was 1-1. And then Chelsea looked the more likely. And then Cole Palmer, as he often is, seemed to be involved in a lot of what was going on and seemed to quite enjoy himself. But of course, it goes down as an own goal by Aaron Wan-Bissaka. And it was, such a wicked deflection. Areola, no chance. And that was it, Vish. 2-1. Yeah,
it's funny you say that he was enjoying himself. I feel like he's enjoying himself less and less.
Do you think?
Not because of any kind of, like he's grown weary of being at Chelsea. But I think the great thing about Cole Palmer is that he plays the game in what is ultimately quite a carefree way. Now, it doesn't mean it's, he doesn't work hard or it doesn't take incredible amounts of skill to be as good as he is. But the whole vibe is that he can be off the cuff. He's obviously integral to Chelsea, but what he gives them is sparks everywhere, basically. Constant creativity. And I feel like over the last month or so, particularly during that run you mentioned there, at the start of the show, I think it's just compounding a little bit just how much they need him. And he looks more and more frustrated when things don't happen a certain way. Even the fact that he takes charge and, hammers the ball in that Wan-Bissaka deflects into the goal. His celebration was almost like, God, thank God, finally.
Do you think, I thought it was more, no, that's not my goal. I didn't mean that.
It was a bit, it was a bit of that, but I think...
He barely celebrates when he scores an actual goal. He just does the old
sure,
upper arm rub.
But there's a bit more of like, it just felt, it's not just the celebration, of course, it's like, his shrugs around the pitch. I just think that, I'm not that it weighs heavily on him, but I just think he's in a bit of a kind of emotional rut now where it feels, sometimes it feels like his teammates are a nuisance.
Yeah, he needs an international break, doesn't he? That's what he needs. That's what we all need.
He needs a 20-minute cameo at the end of a Wembley game. Yeah,
of a World Cup qualifier. Absolutely right. Well, yeah, I know what you mean with Cole Palmer. I mean, I suppose if you think about where he spent the most of his footballing career, I suppose, or certainly his, where he's played most of his football, of course, at Man City through the academy and then limited time for the first team before this season, of course. We know how long he's been at Chelsea. And playing in a team heavy on a system, heavy on Guardiola, all that good stuff. Obviously, this season's not quite the same, but we're not talking about this season. And wanting to play for a team which is very obvious in the kind of, as I say, systems approach, but also allows for individual brilliance to thrive as well. And I think with Palmer, he obviously didn't get the minutes there that he was going to get. They sold him to Chelsea. He thinks, brilliant! I'm now showing the world what I can do with my quality. But maybe he's thinking, hang on a minute though. I wouldn't mind to have somebody else chipping in a bit more. I wouldn't mind to have some sort of a plan and a system. Now I think Maresca will get there with Chelsea. But yeah, maybe, yeah. He's almost one of those players where you think you don't want him knocking on your door and saying, look, if in a year's time, in 2 years' time, or whatever, if things don't improve around here, I'm off, because this is getting a bit of a piss take, right? You need other players to come in there, and a player like Palmer, he wants to be going for Premier League titles. He wants to be going deep in Champions League. He wants to do all that kind of stuff, and he is one of the best players in the Premier League. I don't think there's any doubt about that. So at some point, you are going to have some of the very big clubs sort of sniffing around. Now, it would only be one or two, because the price tag on him will be astronomical.
Yeah, and how much do you have to pay to get someone out of a 15-year contract?
Yeah,
it's like a mortgage, isn't it? It's basically a mortgage.
You have to take a mortgage out on Cole Palmer. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Although, knowing Chelsea, if you actually just look at the small print, it's probably just a tracker deal or something like that, rather than a fixed rate. But anyway, I'm talking a lot about Cole Palmer here. So yes, I take your point about his kind of status in the side at the moment. But all being well, he should be playing Champions League next season. I mean, Chelsea jumped back into the top four above Man City, and that is obviously the aim for them and Maresca this season. They were never really in a title race, and you can't blame them for not keeping pace with Liverpool, because who is, quite frankly?
I mean, they were in it. You can be in a title race without saying you're in it. They were second. They'd come off the back of winning 5 games in a row. They were in form. It wasn't unreasonable to posit
but to keep a pace with this Liverpool team.
But they didn't. But it wasn't about that. That wasn't how they got there. But it's essentially, they almost, like, it was a dirty protest, their set of results after that. It was like, I can't believe you thought that. We'll show you. Look at this. Yeah. We're not going to win for 5 games again.
Yeah, but Champions League football, though, would be massive for Chelsea. Of
course.
Next season. Yeah. Because of the players they could attract and those who are already there, who you want to keep. I don't think Cole Palmer's going to go anywhere next season, by the way. That's not me touting that. But
well, there's half an hour left at the time of recording.
That's very true. I think it's exactly what a lot of those players want to be doing. They want to be in that competition. They want to be pitting their wits against the best in Europe. Quite obviously. Whereas contrast that with West Ham, a team who have also recently won a European trophy, lest we forget. What can they hope for this season? What does the rest of the season look like for West Ham, do you think?
I think it could be quite fun. As you mentioned at the start, they're not going to get relegated. That seems very unlikely. It feels like their results, certainly rather their performances, are trending a certain way. I do think there is something happening there slowly, very slowly, that we've had hints of Potter so far. It feels like, with the players that they have at their disposal, and in some ways the players they're quote unquote stuck with, he can make something fun there. It's almost a bit of it's not quite a free hit, but it's almost a bit of, let's kind of see what this could be like, because ultimately you could end the season with a fair bit of goodwill from fans if you win over the fans in some way, and that doesn't necessarily need to be outright they're kind of chanting your name from the rooftops, but if they believe in what you're about as a manager and the ideas that you have, then that just makes even the summer a lot easier and puts the onus on, I was going to say recruiting, but who knows with PSR and the amount of money that West Ham spent last summer, but certainly a bit of a refresh could happen there. I was trying to look forward and kind of get up their fixtures and so they've got a pretty tough couple of games. They've got Brentford when the Premier League starts back up in a couple of weeks at home. They go to Arsenal. They've got Leicester and Newcastle at home. They've got Everton away, Wolves away. They could legitimately come out at the end of that with, this is pretty tidy stuff.
But would you? I mean, yeah. Are we expecting them to improve significantly then next season? I mean, that's probably it, really, because you're saying Potter's feeling out the side. They've not had great results under him so far, but I think they have improved. I mean, he said post match at Stamford Bridge, he thought that the spirit of the team was fantastic. He was talking about a lot of positives and all that kind of thing. And Potter still has a bit of goodwill with, I think, the general footballing public. This is a test, though, this time. If this doesn't go well at West Ham, then people might say, well, hang on a minute, is this guy been a little bit overrated, or can he sort of cut the mustard in the Premier League? Certainly. But I agree. I think defensively they look a bit better under him. They look a bit more cohesive because, under Lopetegui it just wasn't a good fit. We all know that. So he didn't have a particularly hard act to follow in one sense, but he did need to pick up a lot of pieces and a team that were low in confidence, lacking in cohesion and so on. So I think he has improved things, certainly. Just little by little, and I think that's what they want to do. Just build, and then maybe just go into the back end of the season, have some positive results. Go into the summer thinking, okay, right, we can see some green shoots here, and then, as you say, rebuild and so on. They've signed Evan Ferguson on loan from Brighton. That seems like a good bit of business for me. I know that strikers can go to West Ham and just forget how to play football sometimes, but Ferguson, touted for big things only, a couple of years ago, whenever it was, when he sort of burst onto the scene. Surprising now to see him go out on loan, but obviously Hertzler doesn't really fancy him too much, but we know that Graham Potter does.
Yeah, I think it's quite a nice move, reunited with the coach who essentially gave him his break, but also just very necessary for West Ham with, Antonio obviously long-term out, Fulkrug and Somerville out. Paquetá got injured, having played that kind of false nine type role and doing it brilliantly against Aston Villa. It's a necessary bolstering of that. And, someone who can riff with Jared Bowen, like he's going to get, he's going to have company in terms of an ally further up top. And Bowen feels like he's the kind of player that, a forward would love to play with, because, you're going to get full effort from him. There's technical quality there as well, and he'll do his best to find you. I think this could be quite a neat fit. And just even, going back to what I said about West Ham, I suppose Evan Ferguson is part of that. Oh, this could be fun, couldn't it? Like, there could be something there. And I'm quite keen to see how, because it looks like, given the injuries, Ferguson will get a sustained run, and it'd be interesting to see how he does, whether he breaks a West Ham striker curse, and because it could be this back end of the season could be a bit of an accelerator for Ferguson's development, just in terms of, I feel like there'll be a lot of eyes on him, won't there, this particular stint, and that's not to say that West Ham are a bigger club than Brighton, but. Yeah, I know what you mean. This could be, regardless of whether he succeeds or not, I think it'll be interesting all the same.
West Ham are a bigger club than Brighton, by the way.
Sure, but like in relative, like in modern relative terms. But yeah, I suppose they haven't won a European Cup, have they, Brighton?
No, they have not. And Ferguson himself said, "I can see and know how big West Ham United is." Slightly confusing.
He means Stratford.
Yeah. Was he asked that in the taxi or the helicopter or however he made his way there? I do not know. They've got him, and we're all intrigued as to see how that will pan out. Now, at Stamford Bridge, when Chelsea beat West Ham United 2-1, did you see that gorgeous Brazilian Willian was watching on from the stands?
He's still in the area, is he?
He's still in the area. He's being linked with a
hot
move
Brazilian
back to
wingers in your area, eh?
Oh dear. Well, yeah, there's talk that he may well re-sign for Fulham.
I mean, should he have left?
No, he shouldn't have left. He was offered a new deal. I think he wanted a 2-year deal and he was offered a 1-year deal or something like that. I can't quite remember the detail. Okay. I do know that he nearly signed for Nottingham Forest, but that didn't quite happen. And obviously he went and played in Greece, and I think he's been out of contract since December. And as he's not actually under contract, it doesn't need to be done tonight. Hence, they were just like, go to Stamford Bridge, we'll do it in the morning. But he's a free agent. And like, what is Willian, 36 now? He's not as young as he was. None of us are. And I think, but then I think, you know what, though? Just to the end of the season or something, with Harry Wilson getting an injury. Yeah. With Reece Nelson, who was obviously on loan from Arsenal, who started to look pretty good, got an injury as well. I think it would be lovely to have him back. It really would be.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was about a month or so ago on Monday Night Football where Tom Kearney was the guest, and they asked him, who's the best player you've played with, and straight away it was like, well, Willian.
Yeah,
like without a doubt, and obviously that was only he's only talking about a player he played with 6 months before, so like hard to tell because Willian looked wrapped up warm there, so I presume he's been keeping himself fit. I mean, Greece is a lovely part of the world to let yourself go. Yeah,
it is. When you say he was wrapped up warm, I mean, what was it, about 3 degrees?
As in, like you see, what I'm saying is you couldn't tell if he was like. If he had been enjoying himself in Greece. Look, I'm a man who knows about that kind of thing and layers. Don't question me on this.
Is that the way around it? Is that what you do if you're a footballer who's let yourself go, but you want a big move, and obviously they've only got
the stands.
You've only got the summer transfer window and the January transfer window. The agent's like, yeah, I mean you could sign him now, but what about in 6 months' time in January? Would that make more sense? That would make more sense for us. Why? Just get him in the room now. Why does he look like the Michelin Man? Oh, it's freezing. It's 25 degrees outside. Nonsense. He'll be in absolutely fine form. He'll hit the ground running if he does indeed go back to Fulham, which we expect him to do, and he'll be among the goals before you can say my giddy aunt. Now, there have been some players who have left Chelsea. Ben Chilwell has headed out to Crystal Palace on loan. Like, he needs football. He needs to play football. The man's a Champions League winner, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
He really does need to play some football. Aston Villa apparently reached an agreement with Chelsea to sign Axel Disasi on loan until the end of the season. Villa doing some decent business.
I mean, are they?
Do you not think?
I don't know. Look, they're fun. Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm downloading that EAFC update tomorrow, and I'm playing with Aston Villa.
Yeah.
7 wingers on the field. Don't mind it. Don't mind it.
Yeah, I mean, look, from a Football Ramble point of view, I'm saying they've done some good business. It could work out well for Villa. It could be a rare thing in what's good for the Ramble is also good for your club. Maybe Emery could game the system like that, and good luck to him. But I think with their run-in, we know that much has been made about them not being brilliant in the Premier League. This is not been terrible, for crying out loud. Still in the mix. But they've got a lot of commitments, and I think they need some fresh energy in there and some bodies. Just get bodies in. So they've got a few going there. So yes, Disasi will not be playing for Chelsea for the rest of the season. Chalobah was on the bench tonight. I thought, crying out loud, you recall him and you're not playing him. That's piss poor.
I kind of get it. Disasi is the one he makes a load of mistakes.
Yeah, well,
he makes a load of mistakes.
Maybe, but not under Emery, baby.
Already, he's not even there.
Yeah. What about this one? Carney Chukwuemeka is expected to join Borussia Dortmund on loan. They bloody love it, don't they? Dortmund are picking up the pieces of some of English football's talent and basically saying, all right, if you're not going to nurture and care and develop your players, then we'll do it for you.
There is a bit of that. There's also a bit of, why are you obsessed with us? Leave them alone. Why are you trying to get our young British boys over there? What are you doing?
Just because just because Man United ruined Jadon Sancho, for crying out loud.
Yeah, let us. Anyone.
Carney, if you're listening, for crying out loud, if you end up staying there, Man United come in, learn from history. Just hold out, you'll get a move to Real Madrid. It's possible.
Manchester United were linked with him.
Yeah, of course they were.
Yeah, like he's again. It feels like you talk about these Chelsea players when they have like a 2 or 3 game run, and then you don't see them until they're going on loan to Dortmund. But yeah, like I mean, good luck to him. I feel like he'll do well. Technically gifted, clearly like, quite a smart player. Like, I mean, you say all these things. You're like, why aren't they playing him?
I know. Well, but that's it though. I like this though. It wasn't that long ago where we used to get frustrated that no English players went and played abroad. Now, look, I understand with Carney Chukwuemeka that he has played for England at age cap level, and he's got the option of playing for about 4 different countries. I think he was born in Austria, So, but I feel I'm on safe ground calling him an Englishman because he has played for England under age cap level. So, yeah, I think that with a lot of young English talent, we used to think they would try and get in and play in the Premier League, which is totally understandable. But the idea of moving abroad was just never a thing. Whereas now, look at it. You've got the English invasion at AC Milan. And Borussia Dortmund is a well-trodden stomping ground for English players who are struggling to get game time in the Premier League. So I'm all for it. But talking of AC Milan, Vish, what about this? They've apparently reached a verbal agreement with João Félix. Now, make sure you get that down on paper, because a verbal agreement, I don't believe, carries over till next morning. You get your fax machine in order. He's a player you love. He's a player I love. Come on. Just somebody play him. How is that talented man only playing Europa League, if not even Europa League? How is he only playing Conference League football? I don't... Yeah. You look at his CV. He makes a name for himself at Benfica, all right? Then he gets a huge move to Atletico Madrid. Funny move, I understand all that, but it's still a huge, huge club. He then, what is he? On loan at Chelsea, has a little go in the Premier League. Then he has a go at Barcelona. Then back at Chelsea. Now he's been in talks with AC Milan. I mean, look at all these incredibly historic clubs. Somebody surely has got to go, do you know what, João? Get over here. I'll play in your position. We're going to get the best out of you. We're going to have a lovely old time. We're going to show the world that actually you are one of the most talented number 10s around the place. So surely, Vish, this has got to happen sooner or later.
So if he does Milan and then Fiorentina, Inter, Lyon, and let's say a weird Brazilian club, can't rule it out, I think he would have completed my football shirt bingo. His collection of stash over the years is sensational.
Yeah,
it's just icon after icon, and then Chelsea in between a couple of times. But yeah, I mean, he's going to look dynamite in the red and black.
Oh, he is.
He doesn't need to play, does he? Just give him a normal number, and I will buy that shirt tomorrow.
I feel that he is in. He's kind of teetering on James Rodriguez territory. In that James Rodriguez, unbelievable trophy haul, the clubs he's played for and all the rest of it, but never really found that landing spot, if you see what I mean. And it always felt like, he's got a bit of something. Oh yeah, we can get the best out of him. He's got talent. We can do something. And he plays a bit and he scores some nice goals. He does a few things, but then he just becomes a bit part player. He's on the bench and then he's off again. And he's up at Everton.
Yeah.
See what I mean? I think João Félix is dangerously close to that territory. He's 25 as well. I know that's young. It's not as young as he was, but none of us are, as I said at the start of the show. All right.
Yeah, I think this is probably not for now, but I kind of wonder how much of this career path is him, and how much of it is the perception of him. That he is like, all the things we say about him, all the things we love about him, might be deemed flighty, like that you can't necessarily set your watch by his performances, despite the fact that all these teams clearly at one point have thought, well, definitely, yeah, of course, it's João Félix. Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, I'm with you. The sentiment is the same. Play.